You say you want freedom, more space, more peace, more time to just be. But when you finally get it, you start to twitch. You check your phone. You look for structure. You fill your time with obligations you didn't have to take on. And you tell yourself it's productivity or responsibility. But the truth is simpler. You don't know how to feel safe in the open. So you start rebuilding what you just escaped, not consciously, not dramatically, but piece by piece. A new job with the same demands, a new partner with the same emotional rules, a new routine that's just as rigid as the last one. Only now it's painted with self-care. Because underneath it all, your brain isn't just craving safety, it's craving something it can predict. Freedom has no feedback loop, no clear win or loss, no built-in praise or punishment. So even if the last system burned you out, at least you knew how to survive inside it. Now you're outside the cage. And you're building a new one with better furniture. If this already sounds uncomfortably familiar, you're not alone, and you're not broken. Hit like button if this is hitting, and subscribe if you're tired of soft takes and ready for sharp truth. You leave a controlling relationship, and find yourself with someone who just wants to know where you are all the time. You quit a job that drained you, only to overload your dream career with 14-hour days because, well, this time it's mine. You move out of survival mode, and still live like the threat is around every corner. It's not sabotage, it's adaptation. You're trying to create freedom using rules that only made sense in captivity. Because real freedom doesn't just change your schedule, it challenges your identity. If you grew up in chaos, or lived in emotional unpredictability, then stillness doesn't feel like safety. It feels like exposure. There's no tension to manage, no emotional tightrope to walk, no next crisis to fix, so your nervous system doesn't relax, it scans. Why is it quiet? What did I miss? What am I forgetting to control? You don't feel peace, you feel invisible because you were trained to associate pressure with presence, discomfort with importance, pain with meaning. So when those disappear, you don't feel free, you feel untethered. Let's say the only time you were really seen was when something was wrong, when you were needed, when you were struggling. That becomes your emotional template. So later in life, when things are calm, you don't feel visible. You feel empty, not because you are, but because you were conditioned to see stress as a signal of significance. So you rebuild. You create rules, goals, pressure, not because you want them, but because you don't know who you are without them. Most people don't fear freedom, they fear what freedom asks of them, because real freedom has no one to impress. No one to blame, no identity to hide behind, it's raw, unsponsored, unstructured, and that's terrifying. Because if your worth has always lived in what you manage, fix, or perform, freedom strips all of that away. So you leave one system and start constructing another. I'll freelance, but I'll work twice as hard. I'll stop people-pleasing. But now I'll obsess over being authentic enough. I'll choose peace, but only if I can prove I earned it. The cage isn't always control. Sometimes it's emotional choreography. You keep adding layers of expectation, because without them, you don't know how to feel real. Your mind hates open loops, so when life becomes undefined, it fills in the blanks with rules, routines, comparisons, metrics, narratives like, if I'm not improving, I'm wasting time. If I'm not anxious, I must be missing something. If it's easy, it can't be real. But those aren't truths, they're coping strategies. It's like escaping a prison. and furnishing a new one with better lighting and custom paint. You chose it, but it's still a cage, and that makes it harder to leave. Because this one feels like a reflection of your healed self, not your frightened one. But here's the truth. You didn't rebuild the cage because you failed. You rebuilt it because your nervous system didn't believe it was safe outside. Real freedom isn't the absence of limits. It's the absence of the need to be held together by them. But to get there, you have to dismantle the scaffolding you used to survive. Your rules, your roles, your emotional architecture, and ask, who am I without this? Because real freedom means you rest, even when no one's watching. You speak, even when it's not polished. You act, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone but you. You belong, even when you're not being useful. That's not just liberation, that's self-trust. And it's terrifying, because it requires you to let go of the identity the cage gave you. So, here's the real question. Why do I keep rebuilding the cage? The better one is, what part of me still needs it? And once you name that part, you don't attack it, you don't shame it, you sit with it until it stops building for you in secret. Drop a comment. What's one part of your life that looks like freedom, but feels like a cage you decorated? If this opened something, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more content that doesn't flatter, but frees. This isn't therapy or advice, it's a perspective check. If it landed, sit with it. But don't rebuild the structure that hurt you, just because it's the only one you know how to decorate.